Here are a few of the stories we've got coming up this week.
This guy's a nerd. Hey, he brags about it.
V is for Valentines, volunteers, and of course, veterans. They were at VA facilities in abundance the week of February 10th.
And do you know the story of this presidential retreat?
Hello, I'm Onika Koch-Munoz with the Veterans Benefits Administration.
And I'm Kevin Walls with VA Central Office Media Support Services. You're watching VA News.
Believe it or not, VA has its own nerd in residence. Really, he's Craig Newmark, the founder of Craigslist, an internet destination for people to address everyday needs about 50 million times a month. Newmark's success has allowed him to get more and more involved in causes meaningful to him, particularly veterans and their families. VA Center for Innovation reached out to Newmark and offered the nerd moniker. He proudly accepted when he agreed to help bolster VA's customer service. Newmark recently sat down with Samantha Rijo for a VA News interview. We have a clip to share here, but you can see more on the VA blog post, Vantage Point, or the full interview on VA's YouTube page.
I just keep on doing this, focusing on the intersection of IT and customer service for VBA and beyond. And also I can help get the word out on a lot of the good stuff that VA does, because frankly VA is doing a lot of good work which people never notice, and a lot of it needs to be drawn to the attention of vets and military families, because we don't want them to miss out on programs that they may never hear about, and we want to get them help with things like filling out claims forms.
The week including Valentine's Day was full of events, visits, and cards during the kickoff of the 2014 National Salute to Veterans. School children, beauty queens, military and veteran organizations, and a lot of volunteers visited veterans in VA facilities across the nation, delivering Valentines, music, and a whole lot of goodwill. Here's a look from Albuquerque to Wilmington and Honolulu to the Bronx. Also during National Salute Week, veterans vying for a spot in this year's National Veterans Creative Arts Festival finished up their preliminary competition at the Des Moines VA Medical Center. Here is a report provided to us courtesy of ABC5 TV in Des Moines, Iowa.
Artwork created by local veterans was on display today at the VA Medical Center in Des Moines. It's part of the National Salute to Veterans Patients Week, a way to showcase how vets use creative arts as one form of rehabilitation therapy to help them recover and cope with disabilities. The display includes many different forms of artwork and live performances as well.
I think it's a great opportunity to showcase their creative side, and this is part of a rehabilitation for the veterans as well.
I'm more relaxed, get my mind off of things that were bothering me over there and so on, and just learning how to cope with life again.
And 35 veterans participated in this year's event.
Also in February, we recognize all of our presidents in conjunction with President's Day, a national holiday right in between the birthdays of Presidents Washington and Lincoln.
We thought you would enjoy the story of Lincoln's home away from the White House. It was actually more of a summer retreat since he couldn't really go back to Illinois during a full-scale war on U.S. soil.
In our nation's first 50 years or so, many of the presidents had homes in close proximity to the Capitol. This made trips home possible when they could find time to get away from their duties. President Lincoln's escape from the White House was not a ranch or a beach house, but rather a simple cottage located on the grounds of the U.S. Soldiers' Home, just 3 miles north of the Capitol.
And that would take Lincoln about 45 minutes by horse ride. And we know he made that a regular commute. So even though he was living out here at the Soldiers' Home, he was commuting daily to different points downtown, whether the White House or the War Department or the Capitol. There's documentation in a couple places about one particular time when Lincoln was riding back out to the Soldiers' Home and his hat gets shot off. And his guards end up riding down the road and find his hat with a bullet hole through the brim. Reportedly, Lincoln dismissed it and said, oh, it's some errant shot that wasn't meant for me. But he's also quick to ask the guards to not tell Mary Lincoln about the incident.
The cottage was located on a 200-acre property donated to the federal government by local bank owner George Washington Riggs, Jr. to become our nation's first soldiers' home. It remains in service to our veterans today.
We know that in the 1850s, the Board of Commissioners at the Soldiers' Home decided that it would be a good idea to invite a U.S. president to stay here for what they called the hot season, the summer months in Washington, D.C. The first president that we know took them up on that offer was President James Buchanan. And he spent at least a fortnight here, at least one of the summers during his presidency. He wrote to his niece that he slept here much better than he did at the White House. We think that at Lincoln's inaugural dinner, President Buchanan tipped him off to the fact that the Soldiers' Home was a great place to spend the summers in Washington, D.C.
At first, the cottage may have seemed to be the perfect retreat from the White House and the perils of wartime decision-making. But, in reality, it was far from relaxing.
In coming out to the cottage, Lincoln was actually bringing himself closer to the war and the human cost of war.
The U.S. Soldiers' Home cared for nearly 200 disabled veterans from the War of 1812 and the Mexican-American War. Lincoln saw the consequences of his decisions firsthand every time he interacted with the veterans, who were also his neighbors.
In addition, the first National Cemetery for Soldiers is just a couple hundred yards away. Over 8,000 soldiers were buried there in plain view of Lincoln's cottage during the Civil War and Lincoln's time here. In Lincoln's first summer in residence, over 1,000 soldiers are buried at that cemetery. And so we estimate that as many as 40 burials a day are taking place on the worst days. There are several stories of Lincoln walking through that cemetery at night, during the day, and people saying that he was visibly moved by seeing these burials of these young men who fought and died for their country.
Lincoln knew firsthand of the tolls that the Civil War had on the country. He lived right next to the evidence.
March has a few things going on of particular interest to veterans and VA. First, March is Women's History Month. Of course, at VA, we take time in March to celebrate and highlight the contributions of women veterans. It's also American Red Cross Month, one of VA's longtime partners in the delivery of care to veterans and warriors on the battlefield. The week of March the 2nd through the 8th is National Patient Safety Awareness Week, and no one has a greater impact on the improvement of patient safety over the past 20 years than VA. March 15th marks the 26th anniversary of VA gaining cabinet status. The beginning of the war in Iraq, Operation Iraqi Freedom, also began on March 15th in 2002. And March 25th is National Medal of Honor Day, recognizing the 3,500 heroes who served above and beyond the call of duty, 1,800 of them paying the ultimate sacrifice.
Did you know heart disease kills more women than any other one thing? In conjunction with Women's Heart Health Month in February, employees held a VA Wears Red Day at Central Office. Here is a report on the very healthy event.
Here we go, single, single, double.
We're here today to continue to raise the awareness about heart disease in women veterans and VA women employees. This is a leading cause of mortality among women and women veterans.
I need to stand over here, come on!
This event today is one of the many events that are going on in collaboration with VA and the American Heart, but it's really designed to get the word out about heart health in women.
So what does it mean to go red? I'll just read you a couple things. Number one is G, go get your numbers. See your doctors, talk about your diets, talk about your blood pressure and your cholesterol. O is own your lifestyle. You're in control. Own your schedule, make time to exercise. You can do this. R is realize your risk, and I think far too long we've thought that because you're a woman, as a provider, we said you're okay, right? But realize your risk is real and significant. Talk about it. Be educated. Educate your family. Be leaders in your families, and set the example for the other members and your children on what a healthy lifestyle looks like. And then lastly, D is don't be silent. That's what today is about.
Come on, y'all. Yeah! Yeah!
That is all we have for this VA News. Thanks for watching. I'm Kevin Walls.
And I'm Onika Coke Munoz. Take care, everyone, and have a really great week.